This Equipment World video is brought to you by Chevron Delo 600 ADF Ultra Low Ash Diesel Engine Oil. It's time to kick some ash. Hi everyone, welcome back to Equipment World. You're watching The Dirt. I'm your host Brian, and today I'd like to talk to you about social media. But I'd like to come at it from a different angle than we've traditionally talked about social media in this industry. I want to talk about not only the external to your business components of social media, I want to talk about some internal uses for social media within your organization. Let's talk about how we can use social media to not only market and get more jobs and more employees, but let's also talk about how we can use some social media platforms to more effectively communicate from the top down, which is something we really struggle with in this industry. So the first thing I'd like to talk about is probably the most widely accepted use for social media, and that's for marketing. And we're all familiar with this. You start an Instagram or a YouTube or a Facebook page. Generally, most contractors are sticking with Instagram and Facebook because they are much simpler to maintain. And then you start posting pictures of your job sites, you talk about your services, and then you throw your contact information out there. And don't get me wrong, that's a great use of social media. Now, I will put a few caveats on this. The first is you actually need to maintain this account. It needs to be a regular posting account. Otherwise, it makes you look like you're just kind of a fly-by-night person. You don't have a ton of jobs and a ton of work because you're only posting once every couple of months. There's not really any meat there that gives someone security when they come to your social media page to find out that it's, for the most part, fairly dead. The second caveat I'll put on this is you need to take some fairly professional looking videos and pictures. Now, I don't mean you need to go out and hire a professional photographer or videographer, but at the same time, you need to do more than just taking your cell phone out of your pocket and getting some super shaky footage with horrible background noise. Put a little bit of effort into those pictures and videos, and it will go a lot further with potential customers because now you look like a professional organization as opposed to someone who just pulled their cell phone out of their pocket. So while it is easy to start an Instagram and Facebook, I will recommend you absolutely put some effort forth into the content that goes onto those social media platforms, just because it gives you a much more professional looking appearance. YouTube is actually another great platform for marketing your business. Once you figure out the process, which is fairly simple, you can easily embed a link to your YouTube video and move it over to your website. You can put it on your Facebook page, or you can point people from Instagram over to your YouTube channel. The advantage YouTube has over the other platforms is it allows you to do more lengthy videos and get a little more in depth with the video content that you're putting out. So as opposed to having a 30-second video on Instagram, which is great for giving people little breadcrumbs of what your business does, you can actually put together a nice promo video for your company and put that on your website. You can put together a 30-minute explanation video on all of the different services you offer and how you're professional and apart from your competition. That's easily embedded on your website or on your Instagram account. So YouTube is a very powerful platform. However, it is a little more difficult to start a YouTube channel than an Instagram or a Facebook account. So marketing has been the traditional use for these social media platforms, but let's talk about some other uses for these platforms that will actually make a tremendous impact to your business. But before we get into that, I want to take a second to tell you about the sponsor of this video, Chevron Lubricants. Protecting your diesel engine and its exhaust aftertreatment system has traditionally been seen as an either-or proposition when it comes to choosing the engine oil that's going to protect your system. And that's exactly why Chevron spent more than a decade of R&D work developing a no-compromise formulation. Now, I don't have to tell you why a clogged DPF is bad news, but here's the real kick in the pants. 90% of that ash clogging up your DPF and then upping your fuel and maintenance costs, it comes from your engine oil. You might be thinking, why don't they make an engine oil with less ash in it then? You'll be happy to learn that Chevron agrees with you. They've developed a new ultra-low ash diesel engine oil that is specifically designed to combat DPF ash clogging. Delo 600 ADF with OmniMax technology cuts sulfate ash by 60%, radically reducing the rate of DPF clogging and extending the DPF service life by 2.5 times. Before you had to choose between protecting your engine or your aftertreatment system. Now you don't. Delo 600 ADF with OmniMax technology. It's time to kick some ash. The first one is also related to marketing, but it's not marketing for jobs. It's marketing for people. Common theme on the channel that we've been talking about over the last few weeks is how much the trades are hurting for people and how businesses are having to compete for employees. Social media is the way to compete. People are no longer just doing a quick Google search to figure out if you have a website. People are actually going on Instagram and Facebook and even YouTube these days to see what kind of a social media presence you have, because that's actually a much better indicator as a potential employee as to what kind of company you are. What do your posts on social media look like? Are they only talking about production aspects of the job? Do you talk at all about your employees? Do you talk at all about the satisfied customers? Do you talk about how you specialize yourself in the market? What are you putting on your social media that's going to appeal to potential employees? Because trust me, your new employees are looking for your social media presence. So if you want to hire good people and you want to have good people come into your business, you need to have a social media presence. Now let's talk about something totally non-related to marketing. YouTube can be a great platform for communication within your company. This is something that not a lot of people think about, but when you have big policy changes, or you want to talk about what the overall goals are for the company, or you have any sort of communication that needs to come from the top down, progress updates would even be a great thing to do with a YouTube channel. You can make your YouTube channel public. You can post your videos so that the great unwashed masses can see those videos, but it doesn't really matter who sees it as long as your employees see those videos. That's very easy to send out a quick email or something with a link to the YouTube channel or to that specific video. And now you can get all of your employees watching one announcement where we talk about a new policy change to the company. Or halfway through the season, you decide to put together a video that gives you a progress update of all of the jobs that your company's working on and where we're at in the timeline and how we're doing according to budget. However, whatever information you want to put out there, you can make one video with just a $30 webcam sitting at your desk. You can post that to your company's YouTube channel, and then you can distribute the link across your entire company's employees. Now you have everyone watching the same message. The communication from the top down is much more effective because you're able to get in front of those people digitally, even though you're not able to get in front of every single person in person. So communicating within your company is actually a really great use of the YouTube channel that most people don't really think about because they only think about it from the marketing aspect. Another great possibility is not even using a YouTube channel at all. There are a couple companies that I'm aware of that actually have internal podcasts. Again, this doesn't require $1,000 worth of hardware and fancy microphones and lights and all of this stuff. It doesn't take any of that. Literally sit down with a microphone at your computer or record audio into your phone, upload that, and then distribute it to all of your employees. That's a great communication tool. And that's one of the things we talked about in one of our past videos was how much this industry lacks in top-down communication. Something as small as doing a weekly podcast or a weekly YouTube video, just kind of talking about things going on in the company, what the company's focusing on, new directions that they're taking. These are all things that will help make your employees feel like part of the team. And it's a very simple thing to do when you have this digital platform to get that information to all of your employees. Another great way you can use YouTube internally to your company is by using it for frequently asked questions for new applicants. If you have a lot of questions that get asked commonly, it would be really nice in your job posting to put in a link to a YouTube video that goes over all of the commonly asked questions and maybe gives people a little insight into what your company is like. Talking about benefits, things like that. Another use for YouTube is for how-to videos or just general training videos. Or perhaps you want to do continuing education with your company, which is something, by the way, we'll talk about later in a different video altogether. But continuing education in this industry is terrible. Everything is taught just on the job by figuring it out or learning from someone with experience. This industry doesn't do continuing education. But I digress. If you and your company decide that you want to do continuing education courses, a great way to distribute those to your employees is with a YouTube channel. You can now make those videos, you can post them to your public channel, and then again, distribute the link to all of your employees. And now you've got great training material out there that you don't have to go through each employee sit them down at a computer in the office and waste half a day. They can be done on their own time, and it's something that you can just send out to everyone. So there's a lot of uses to these social media platforms outside of just generic marketing. And I guess that's kind of my entire goal with this video, is just to get you to think outside the box. Don't just think about it from the surface level. How can we use this to get more customers? There's so much more that goes into these social media platforms. And even the things I've touched on today just scratch the surface of how you could utilize these platforms. I will say, when it comes to small companies, having a social media presence can absolutely help you get onto the bigger jobs. Because if you go into bigger jobs, you try to bid it, and if someone goes, "I've never even heard of you guys," you're probably not going to get that job. However, even if they haven't physically heard of you, if they can go on your social media platforms and get a really good feel for who you are as a company, you stand that much better of a chance of getting into some larger contracts that otherwise wouldn't be accessible to you. Likewise, larger companies, you're probably not so much worried about scoring your next big government contract based off of an Instagram post. I totally get that. However, you need people, especially when you're playing at that level. You need quality people. And the way you get quality people is by having a social media presence that talks about how you treat your people, what you do that benefits your employees. These are ways that you can start getting quality applicants into your company. So again, these social media platforms can be utilized in different ways depending on the angle you take, the type of posts you make, and how you use the platform overall. So I hope this has been helpful. I hope it's answered some questions about social media. Let me know below if you'd like me to do a small series on each social media platform, kind of general usage and kind of just starting an account. We can walk through that process together. If there's enough interest, we can absolutely do a small series of videos on that. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you guys on the next episode of The Dirt.